Welcome to another Whiskey Games and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey, we are actually just enjoying coffee, just straight up coffee. And today's Nerd Stuff is Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 3. Really enjoying Absolute Wonder Woman thus far. Would love to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on the Absolute Wonder Woman run thus far and the Absolute series that DC had ran out. There are going to be some spoilers in this, just a heads up, but I typically wait a few months before I talk about this, so you were warned. First, I gotta say, I'm just digging the art. The art and the story on this, I really like. I never was the biggest fan of Wonder Woman comics, but this one really drew me in. I really like this. Love the art, love where it's going, love the mythos of what they're doing. I gotta say, I highly recommend this. So if you want to save yourself some time and not watch the rest of this, yes, go out and get this. I think right now issue 5 came out. It's a perfect time to jump into Absolute Wonder Woman or the other Absolute series. Before they get too far along, definitely check it out. So what I like about this is kind of where it's kind of going back and forth between what's happening in Gateway City and then what happened in Hell. So not sure who this character was at first. Obviously, her name's Barbara from kind of where it's going. But she's watching the news story, and somehow she calls her Wonder Woman. Let me take a sip of coffee. Which that's going to come into play. Then it kind of goes into Diana, talking to the military, letting them know about what's going to happen with this Cthulhu-like Kraken character that's coming in. And what's really cool about this, she's got this one part, she talks about how the different ways they kill you. It's death of fear, death of mind, death of body, death of soul. I really thought it was a cool line. The 4 ways you're going to get killed. So she goes in and talks about how they'll kill you, which I won't go into the details, the tetracide, but it's really cool. Basically, the gist is it's a siren call that it comes in and people run into it. So she's trying to figure out how to save everybody. She goes on to fight the I always say it the wrong way, the tetracide. And, she's got the new cool lasso, she's got her sword, and then you see where it grabs her arm, and she's fighting it. And then, let me back up a second. So I know it's going to happen, but I don't want to spoil it. So it goes ahead and grabs her arm, and she's having a great fight in here. Before we get too further on, I want to just say, call out the artist and the writer. Kelly Thompson's the writer, Hayden Sherman the artist, colorless. I'm going to say this wrong, probably Jordine Bellaire, Becca Carey, and then the editors Ash Badilla and Chris Connery. Great job on this issue. Great job on the run. So as she's fighting, then it kind of backtracks to hell, where Diana and Steve are fighting this Hydra. For some reason, the Hydra has a thing for Steve. I think that's could be a hint towards, Diane having affections for Steve. Who knows? But they kind of talk about how, I won't go into the details, but there's a good dialogue in here where they go back and forth. It's obvious in here that Diana has feelings for Steve. She's trying to figure out how to get her home. She read something, but it talks about a sacrifice. And Diana's mom, Circle, is saying, no, the sacrifice is too great. Then the next thing you know, we see where Circle wakes up, and Diana's going to perform some ritual, and that ritual is to bring Steve back home. And the crux of it is she's saying, hey, if I'm here to help save humanity, I can't fail my first mission of saving this one person. So then it goes to Diana cutting off her arm. She cuts off her arm so she can send Steve back. I think that's crazy. And then you can see where he's kind of going back. So she sacrificed her arm to send Steve back. Then it kind of goes into her ripping the tetracide, ripping off Wonder Woman's arm. Now, the first time I read this, usually I'll read these and hurry into the video right next. When I read this, I inadvertently skipped over a couple pages. I don't know if you've ever done that when you read comics, seeing where the thing ripped off her arm. And I was like, holy crap, she just ripped off the arm. then what's cool is she's got this metal, arm that was that was made by in the furnace of hell or something like that, where she's got this neat little arm in here, and then she runs into Barbara, who knows that she's an Amazon. She knows about Wonder Woman. This is going to come into play. You can tell in here that this is going to come into play later. And then it goes into she's trying to figure out how to fight, what she can do, and then she has an idea of how to save people. And what she's going to do is cast a spell to make everybody lose their hearing and be deaf. And because if they're deaf, then they can't hear the siren coming in to be pulled into this. So then she's got to get some components for this spell. Is what I'm guessing. Is she's either going to do the spell or going to get the components. So I feel like there's going to be something coming into this. I feel like what's going to happen is she's going to do this spell and they're going to film it, and something's going to come for that, because she has a whole thing in here about let me see if I can find it. She talks about why can't we film this, and she goes, of course it's mostly because I don't want people to be afraid, and new things are often scary. A frightened populace will serve no one now. I think there's a lot to that statement, not in this comic book, but just in life in itself. Most people are afraid of the new things. And I do think there is, intentionally or not, some commentary in there about how people are afraid of the new or the other. Then there's the other reason is because magic is sacred and not everyone has earned the responsibility to wield that. And I think there's a lot to be said there that, that there are things that are sacred. There are things that are important. There are things that you need to keep secure. And when you can't keep things secure, or you can't show simple common sense on how to keep things safe, you haven't earned that responsibility to wield that. So intentionally or not, I think there's a lot of things there to that. I really like this. Apparently, she had everything she needed, but she hasn't cast a spell yet. I feel like something's going to go on. So in this one, where I'm seeing the direction of this going is I think there is going to be a lot of mysticism. I think we're going to see a lot of Lovecraftian Cthulhu type characters. I think that this is going to go into a lot of the mythos of Greek mythology, and that's where I see it going, and I dig this. I feel like this is a very distinct difference between Absolute Superman, which we haven't talked about much yet, and Absolute Batman, which is, I have to say it, my top 3 comic books right now. Absolute Batman is definitely in there, and it's fighting for number 1 and 2. But really would love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 3. Do you like the run? What do you think is going to happen? And what would you like to see happening? Again, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, folks, cheers.